Hi Westfield Weather Club, it's Miss Lonnie again. I hope you guys have had fun tracking the weather over the last week. I have tracked it some myself, and I don't have my weather chart printed, but I do have my wind and rain tracker that has my barometer chart on it, and I've been putting stickers. And I have noticed my straw moves just a little bit, but I've had more nice days than cloudy or rainy days, and I hope you found the same. And I've also been watching the clouds, and I've seen all kinds of different clouds. I don't know if you guys have been able to track the clouds or just go out and see them. Maybe you've drawn some pictures of the different clouds you've seen, but clouds is a big part of this week's lessons. So the clouds, like we learned last week, water evaporates up into the sky and then it condensates in the clouds, and those clouds get heavy and then they start to rain. So if we go back to our weather book, the light's kind of hard to see the pictures, but it says rain forms inside rain clouds. The water vapor that evaporates from below forms tiny water drops. The tiny water drops join together and become bigger drops. When they are heavy enough, they fall and we have rain. So for this week's project, you should be on week 4 of your packet. For this week's project, we are going to build a rain gauge. And to build a rain gauge, you're going to need an empty plastic bottle. It can be a big 2-liter bottle. You might only have a small bottle. You could use a water bottle. I happen to have a juice bottle here, like so. And you're also going to need some rocks. And I'm very lucky, my rocks are all painted. Kinsley painted me some rocks. So I've got some rocks. You will need a little bit of water, a pair of scissors, and a ruler if you have one. I'm not going to use a ruler. You will also need a marker. So step number 1, which I did ahead of time so that I didn't have to fight with it on the video, is you need to cut your top off your bottle. And you want to cut it up pretty close to the top so that when you set it upside down inside the bottle, it'll stay there on its own. So that's step 1. And you can use your scissors to do that. You'll probably need some parent help with that. It's a little bit difficult to get started. Then after you cut your top off, you can get rid of the cap. You don't need that. So we'll get rid of that. You're going to put some rocks in the bottom. So I'm going to add some of my nice colored rocks in here. And just enough to cover the bottom. There. Like so. And then your top will fit nicely right on top. The next step is going to be to put some lines to mark how much water or how much rain we get. So a rain gauge is going to collect the rain, and we'll be able to tell how much it has rained. So if you have a ruler, what you'll do is you'll take your marker. Permanent marker probably will work the best. You'll take your marker and you'll kind of mark the top of where your rocks are. And that'll be your first line, because that's where you're going to fill your water to, is just above your rocks. And then if you don't have a ruler, what you can do is, I'm just going to take a knuckle. I'll show you. I'm just going to take my knuckle, I'm going to bend my finger, and I'm going to set my bottom of my finger on my line, and I'm just going to make another line at the top of my knuckle. So I have another line there. And my bottle has lines in it that are already spread about that far apart, about a knuckle's width apart. So I'm going to just mark in each of my little spots. And you can measure with your knuckle or with a ruler. And then I'm also going to label these. I'm going to put a 1, a 2, 3, and a 4. Like so. They're kind of hard to see. your next step is going to be to fill the bottom up to your first line. So I've got some water right here. If you need to, you can pause the video and go to the sink to get your water. So I'm just going to move my paper because I know I'll spill my water. I'm going to just pour a little bit of water in and watch it. And I'm going to pour it nice and carefully until I get to my first line, which should be right about the top of my rocks. There. So my rocks are all covered and my water goes to my first line. And then all that's left is, if you haven't put the top in your bottle, you can stick your top in and put it so it'll stay. And then you can go ahead and you can set your rain gauge outside. Make sure it's not under the roof where it will be able to collect the rain. And I can see that it is raining really hard at my house right now. So I'm going to put this out and then I'm going to check it tonight and see how much rain I got. On your wind and rain tracker, if you printed it, there is a little bar underneath the barometer that is that's your rain gauge. And if you can fill that in however you would like. If you fill up to the first line, you can color your first square. If you get to the second line, you can color your second square. If you only get halfway, you can color in half of the first square. You could also use stickers. You can also just make your own rain chart and write it in a journal if you don't have this printed, just like you were journaling your clouds and your weather. So I hope that it rains a little bit so you can so your rain gauge can work. But I also hope it doesn't rain too much so we can get outside to play. You can look for another video to follow this one about the rain, and that will go on today as well. Bye, guys.